Frodo and I have an exciting announcement. We are heading back to Alaska. We're leaving in just a few minutes, but this time we have Drea the van and Dave the man. We are about to do the Hell's Gate tram. I didn't take video footage on the way down because I was holding Frodo. He didn't really love the trip, but this is what we would have looked like coming in. This tram, which opened in 1971, drops 515 feet between its upper and lower terminals. The river churning through is 150 feet deep. We are at 100 Mile House and we are looking at the only surviving coach of the Barnard Express and stage line that traveled between Ashcroft and Prince George up to 1917. And this is an excellent place to stop. I stopped here last time I came. There's some amazing birding and there's a bathroom. You can have a picnic. Day one, we left our home at around 9 a.m. and we drove up over the Canadian border and got as far as Lac La Hache at about 7:30 at night. There's Lac La Hache, or Lac La Hache. We slept in the forest part of the campground. There are some with lake views in this campground. Frodo and I walked down here this morning and I could hear loons. Frodo's favorite travel position was in Dave's lap. We're coming up on Chetwynd and we just pulled over. It said the Peace Foothills welcome you. Thought we'd just take a quick look at this pretty view. We're in the town of Chetwynd, and this has carvings, log carvings on both sides of the road. Really elaborate, beautiful log carvings. I'm just gonna point at one side so you can see them. Maybe if I zoom in. All different things, deer, dragons. The first Chetwynd International Chainsaw Carving Championship occurred in 2005. And the participation and the distance that people are traveling from around the world to compete has increased every year. There are now over 120 different intricate carvings throughout the town of Chetwynd. They are absolutely gorgeous, and it just boggles the mind to realize that these were done by chainsaw. Soon we were coming into Dawson Creek for the very first mile of the actual Alaska Highway. We're about to start the Alaska Highway adventure. Woo! This talks a little about the route and how it ended up being basically mile 0 of the Alaskan Highway. There's actually a mile marker. The real one is half block west and 1 block south, and I did visit that on my last trip. I can put a link to that here. We're about to go in the visitor center. It is a gorgeous day. These numbers are always a bit scary. Driving down a dirt road to see if we can find a campground by Kluane Lake. This one was only 2 kilometers off the main dirt road. When you get to this fork, you just go right. There are a couple more sites down this way that are right on the lake you can check out first. The entry to them is a little more rough. You want high clearance for at least one of them. So we're at Kluane Lake, maybe 2.5 miles off the Alaska Highway. There are some nice lake spots, but those were all taken, and I'll get a better look at the lake later. It's pretty crowded right now. There's kind of a day use area that will clear out probably. There's even a little pit toilet right here. And their sites aren't numbered. It's just free camping. I made some instant mashed potatoes. take a peek at those. There they are in there. Making some gravy and cooked some chicken. And I have supervisors. Well, the finished product isn't pretty, but it is tasty. Day 2, we left Lac La Hache Provincial Park at around 7:15 a.m. and we drove up through Prince George, up, got into Dawson Creek to mile 0, and then we camped in between Fort St. John and 101, somewhere out here at Ingle Lake. We got to our camp around 7:30 at night. Good morning, it's the 3rd day of our trip and our first full day on the Alaska Highway. And Frodo is just sleeping in. We just pulled over to see this giant beaver. We are at Prophet River First Nation here. And last time I went by, he didn't have all these lodge materials, but somebody's given this beaver a bunch of sticks and branches. You can see by Dave how tall this beaver is. What better way to celebrate our 10th anniversary than standing next to a big beaver? Just wandering through the garage area of the Fort Nelson Museum. I forgot to take video inside. This is a great museum. Really nice stop on the way. It's just on the outside of Fort Nelson. Lots of cool old cars in here. Oh my gosh. Look at that truck. There's a really old car. It needs a horse. Outside we've got the old tractors. John Deere, McCormick. I don't see any Alice Chalmers. Road trips are both peaceful and awe-inspiring to me. There's something about the way you move through all different landscapes, forest, wildflowers, mountains, flatlands, desert, flowing by rivers as they flow by you. It makes you feel kind of small. Whoa, look at that. But not small in a bad way, just a humbling way. A way that leaves you feeling amazed. Real recent within the last few weeks. Isn't that epic?
That is something.
Yeah.
Wow. Huh. Not a tree on it.
No. This is huge mountain made of stone. We're stopped here at the Erosion Pillar Trail at Stone Mountain Provincial Park. I believe this is just a 0.8, this says 1 kilometer round trip. I think that's 0.8 miles round trip. We'll see. But we're gonna go see some cool pillars. We can kind of see them from here, but it's nice to have a little leg stretcher anyway, and it's just a beautiful area. So we thought we'd get out and do a little hike.
Well, St. George in the background.
We just started out and there is a piece of rusty machinery or vehicle, it looks like, up here. So we're gonna take a look, see if we can tell what this once was. I cannot. I guess it looks kind of like a tow truck or something to me. What does it look like to you, Dave?
An old truck.
An old truck, huh? There's all sorts of wildflowers here right now. There are all sorts of butterflies up here, including this really cool yellow one with like pink edges. There's the pillar. Luna didn't come on this trip because she doesn't like car rides. Cool. pull us up this hill, Frodo. Here's the other pillar. That's really neat. Then we turn around and we've got this incredible view of these stark mountains jutting up over the forested hills. It's time to hit the road again. We're using Dave for scale again. That's a pretty big pillar. That's awesome. Well, that was really fun, and I'm super glad we stopped. We've been sitting for a long time. It was just under 3/4 of a mile round trip with 185 feet of elevation gain. Pretty neat little pillars and just a beautiful area to stop in. Hitting the road again. So far. Wow, this is some really battered road.
Yeah.
Constant
You can see
rockfall.
why, yeah.
This would be hard to keep open.
We saw a small herd of bighorn sheep here just down the bank from the road, but unfortunately I couldn't catch them on camera.
Just keeping guard.
We waved goodbye to the bison and headed on to Liard Hot Springs. I was pretty wiped out, and they don't allow dogs, so Dave got to add camera duties to his hot springs.
And we're looking from the outside as you're coming up. Cooler on the left. As you work your way to the right, it gets much warmer.
Day 3, we left Ingle Lake Campground around 7 a.m. and we drove further up the Alaska Highway through Fort Nelson where we saw the museum, and then around through Muncho Lake area. We spent the night at Liard Hot Springs Overflow Camping, somewhere in here. We arrived at about 5 p.m. that night. Well, this place filled up. We're getting ready to head out, heading for Whitehorse.
The bison along the Alaskan Highway are woods bison rather than plains bison, and are actually a bit bigger.
Hi, big guy.
After the bison, we were lucky enough to catch a black bear having his breakfast. We saw 4 black bear along the way. This is the only one we got on film, and we saw no grizzlies, unfortunately.
Frodo stole Dave's seat.
Goodness.
Our next noteworthy stop was the Signpost Forest in Watson Lake.
We're here in Watson Lake at the Signpost Forest. Signposts that just go on and on. We're going towards the middle. I think this is where the sign is. It talks about it.
The tradition of adding a signpost here started in 1942 with the U.S. soldier Carl Lindley, who was homesick and spending time in Watson Lake, and put up a sign with direction and mileage to his hometown in Illinois. The Alaska Highway was built in 1942 and goes a total of 1,387 miles from Dawson Creek to Delta Junction. We were going to be turning off before reaching Delta Junction, but we drove most of it.
Our hike for today is Rancheria Falls. It is going to be about 2/3 of a mile round trip, so not very far, but that allows us to enjoy some beauty, get some exercise, and get back on the road. There's a long boardwalk. We can see wetland out here. Okay, we're coming up on some falls here. Wow. That's beautiful. So this is the upper that we just saw, or the, I don't know, the right side one. We're gonna go see another one over here. I don't know if it's lower or just the left side of this rocky island. It was a beautiful walk. Very fast, 0.6 exactly, 0.6 miles with 44 feet of elevation gain, so not much. Really pretty little waterfalls.
Nice little walk.
If you have dogs and they're reactive, just be aware that a lot of the walk is narrow boardwalk, so not a lot of room to pass. But otherwise, that's a 9 out of 10 or something for a short little hike along the Alaska Highway.
2 waterfalls, third of a mile.
Yeah, perfect. Lunches PB&J with an epic view. We are walking down the interpretive trail at the Beringia Interpretive Center in Whitehorse in the Yukon. Frodo is guarding the van. I didn't get to do this one last time because it was too hot out to leave him in the van, but it is cold and rainy, so yay, there's a silver lining here. Imagine a beaver as long as your couch with front teeth the size of bananas. No, thank you. Wow. This is a pretty cool place. This is a fossilized bone from a giant short-toothed bear. That's huge. And a claw of a scimitar cat. I mean, there's my finger. Holy crap. This was Beringia. And when I was in school, we learned about a land bridge, but I don't think they ever made us realize how big this was. I mean, they were talking like it connected continents. It was a huge area of land that stretched all the way up into the Yukon. Our second stop in Whitehorse is at the SS Klondike Memorial Park. We're on a really neat multi-purpose trail that goes along both sides of the Yukon River here, which is huge. Look at that thing go. And we're gonna see the SS Klondike. This thing is huge. There's the front. And now we're at the stern. And we have a big orange paddle wheel that is massive. The hull is 210 feet long, or 64 meters. It had 2 525 horsepower engines. She could hold 600,000 pounds, and her draft was only 40 inches. That's that red line on there. I got hangry, so we stopped when we were ready to stop. It's almost 9 o'clock at night. It's just really light out, and our home is a free campsite by the road, and you can't really see the mountains as well now because of the clouds, but it is actually really beautiful here. We are near Haines Junction. Day 4, we left the Liard River Hot Springs at around 6:15 a.m. and we drove off into the Yukon to Whitehorse, which was quite fun. And we got just past Haines Junction when we stopped for the night at about 7 p.m. Here's Lake Kluane, looking very moody right here. The first time I came, it was a beautiful day and it was just like glass, but we've got some rain this time. Let's stop for a quick look and head on our way. We're on day 5 out of our probably 6-day trip to Anchorage. We're stopped at a rest stop over the Kluane River. We're just going to make our breakfast here and walk Frodo.
I was trying to film how rough the road is from just around Lake Kluane all the way up to the Alaska border. But when it was really bad, it was not possible to film. So
We have made it to the Alaska border. We made it to Alaska.
Woohoo!
The last stretch was a doozy. There's a monument. All sorts of good information here. Well, it's the end of day 5 and the last night on our journey to Anchorage, and we are staying at the Eagle Trail State Recreation Site. There are 2 trails here, which we might do, and the air is a little smoky from a fire that was nearby but is put out. And we just stopped early for the day. We're gonna have a short day tomorrow getting into Anchorage, about 5 hours. We are going to go do the 1 mile nature trail before dinner. I have my bear spray and my Dave. Pretty wildflowers on this trail. Just a nice, peaceful woods walk so far. A lot of these little spruces. So this trail is a loop. I thought it was an out and back, and we started on the wrong end. So there are like 13, was it 13? 15 different markers, and I have no idea what they were for. So if you do this one, try to start on the end that has that information and start with number 1. Our van looks a little bit tanner than it did when we left. And the front, oh my God, the front is a terrible bug graveyard. Yikes. We left our little pullout at 8 a.m. on day 5 of our trip. We drove around the beautiful Lake Kluane,
up across the border into Alaska.
and we got just past Tok and stayed the night at Eagle Trail Campground in Alaska. At 4 p.m. is when we stopped, but we lost an hour as we went into Alaska, so it felt like 5 p.m. Well, 5 nights. Here, let me turn it so we can both look like hell. 5 nights on the road, 6th day of driving, and we only have a 5.5 hour day. We're gonna get into Anchorage to my son's house today, and I think we're gonna stop at least one pretty view on the way. It depends on the weather and the time, but we're bringing you along. Oh, there goes the baby. He's right in the back. Don't worry, Mama, I'm not gonna hurt you, baby.
See the moose, Frodo?
Yeah, he does.
The big moose.
I don't want to speed by him in case they turn. But I'm not trying to chase them either. Maybe they'll go down that dirt road.
Go by him and
Oh, they changed their mind. All right. See, this is what I was worried about. Oh my God, I don't want them to keep running. Yeah, go with your baby, Mama. Okay, there we go. Stay over there. Here's the view from our breakfast spot. We'll go out and get a little closer look. We're at our last stop before we hit Anchorage at the Matanuska Glacier Overlook. This is great. It is, they have a bathroom. There's a day use area here, and we're gonna go get a cool view of the glacier. There, you can see the glacier.
Destination achieved, Anchorage, Alaska. Dave and I will be using this as our home base to make further explorations. He's standing behind me, isn't he?
The last day of our trip, we left Eagle Trail Campground and we drove all the way down into Anchorage, arriving around 2:30 p.m.